A concerning environmental discovery out of the Middle East. Scientists have realized 4 countries lining the Tigris and Euphrates river basins have lost as much as 117 million acre-feet of fresh stored groundwater during a 7-year period. The discovery was made through data gathered by NASA's Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment, or GRACE satellites. The satellites can measure water trends from space and gather data from every country in the world. In this particular case, researchers are looking closely at Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. According to data gathered between 2003 and 2009, NASA reports the majority of the water loss stems from pumping groundwater from underground reserves and could also be the result of substantial drought in 2007. In a statement, the principal investigator said, the Tigris and Euphrates river basins currently have the second fastest rate of groundwater storage loss on Earth after India. Meanwhile, demand for fresh water continues to rise, and the region does not coordinate its water management because of different interpretations of international law.
Egypt is called the gift of the Nile. The river winds through Egypt, carving a fertile path from south to north. It's the reason there is any life at all in this otherwise desert country, because it's the only source of water for 80 million people. Today, Egypt faces a crisis. There simply isn't enough water. Growth along the river, both in Egypt and in the 9 other countries it passes through, means increased demand on a limited resource.
Canals that used to be the lifeblood of the Egyptian countryside have become toxic rubbish dumps. The refuse breeds rats and the rats breed disease, yet still more rubbish is thrown in.
The people of Abu Sir, they actually know 100% it's a big problem. But unfortunately, we have no governmental solving the problem. So try to tell the people, please don't push your garbage here. But where? We have no another place for that problem, unfortunately.
There are no regular authorities to provide. What we can't convey to you is the absolute stench and squalor that people are living in. The smell is something between rotting flesh, rancid vegetables and excrements. And kids are playing in this.
All right, you know, we've got a brand new Congress, but it's essentially the same old government, only bigger and getting much bigger, and we don't seem to much care, do we? Hi, everyone, and happy weekend. I'm Neil Cavuto. Well, you want more government? Well, you're going to have to put up more dough, because the deal that was supposed to trim spending ended up only increasing spending. By now, you know the score. They really didn't cut a thing, so let me cut to the chase. A lot more than just rich folks are going to have to cut a check. Lots of checks and lots of folks. Because taxing the rich ain't covering the bill. Even with the $600 billion tax hike on the wealthy over the next 10 years, that works out to about $60 billion a year, barely enough to keep the government running for a week. And like I said, they're not cutting anything, and I mean anything. So we have to find a way to keep feeding the beast then, don't we? And just taxing.
A period where the cost of everything from healthcare to college has skyrocketed. Now in this country, we don't begrudge anyone wealth or success. We encourage it. We celebrate it. But America is better off when everyone had the chance to get ahead, not just those at the very top of the income scale. The more Americans who prosper, the more America prospers.
Neither side blinked, and last night at about 8:30, President Barack Obama, who had no other option, ordered the $85 billion across-the-board federal budget cut called sequestration. Now, Steve Handelsman has the latest from Capitol Hill.
In Washington tonight, notices went out warning of furloughs to Justice Department workers. Air shows by the Blue Angels got canceled. Spending reduced at national parks.
We're cutting travel. We're cutting training.
Some schools will have to close early. An aircraft carrier will stay in port. U.S. troops will have to do more with thousands of DOD civilians to be furloughed. But the Pentagon's ready.
And we will do what we need to do.
Republicans charge other federal agencies could flex. There don't have to be delays at airports.
We were waiting to hear the plans from the FAA about how they can move monies around in order to avoid that.
And Republicans say spending less money is good.
Will the economy be adversely affected by a 2.4% reduction in government spending? I think not.
But people are going to be hurt.
President Obama said sequester will bite and blamed Republicans.
They've allowed these cuts to happen because they refuse to budge on closing a single wasteful loophole.
In other words, Republicans at the last-ditch White House meeting refused another tax hike on the rich.
This discussion about revenue, in my view, is over. It's about taking on the spending problem here in Washington.
27-year-old Maria Njoku, a civilian Defense Department employee, is preparing for the worst.
I do live paycheck to paycheck.
But anger, resentment about this?
No, just mostly disappointment.
She's called her rent, cable, and electric company asking for special dispensation when the furloughs begin where she works, one of possibly 750,000 civilian Pentagon employees in a potentially similar situation. She's forced to rethink her spending, buying her groceries in bulk.
So you're counting every dollar? Every dollar.
We have our hands on this chilling new propaganda video believed to have been posted by North Korea showing American troops and President Obama in flames. Now, this just days after North Korea conducted what it claims a successful nuclear test. Here is part of the new video. Watch it here. Amateur, no question, but not to be taken lightly. KT McFarland's a Fox News national security analyst, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense during the Reagan years, and good morning to you. Part of what it was said on that video is that the United States increasingly unfair bully activities against North Korea, a solemn warning that time is no longer on the side of the United States. America should answer.